Alright, I'm about to explain your entire existence in a way you've never heard it before. Do not skip this video. I repeat, do not skip this video. Alright, so your entire reality is made up of these three things. First off, we have light itself, which is light waves, or also called spirit, which is what moves through you. We also have darkness, which can be also called creation or particle. This is like objects you see in front of you. This is the mind. Next, we have the body, which can also be called your unique lens or your soul. This is what you view reality through. Your body is special because it's both light and particle. It is both of these at the same time. This can be called non-duality, but you can also be referred to as duality. The reason for this is as a human, you are one with everything, but you are also separate from everything. You can also say that you are the creator, but also the creation itself. In your experience, as you go throughout life, light is passing through you. These waves of energy pass through every human that you see in your experience. Yes, the same waves pass through every single person. But it's what we do with these waves, our interactions with them, that create our experience. These waves can also be referred to as energy in motion or emotion. When you have reality moving through you in this form, it is called allowing. You are not resisting the flow of reality passing through you. This means light can pass through you effortlessly. This is also called enlightenment. Enlightenment is just the amount of light that passes through your body, and the rate at which it passes through can also affect your experience. Being more open means that more light can pass through you at a time, meaning that reality is experienced at a faster rate and you also see more of it. Someone who allows light to pass through them in this way without any resistance whatsoever could be equated to Jesus walking on water because of the waves. They look like water. In this energy here, you can also have thoughts passing through the mind, but these thoughts are not disrupting you. You are observing the mind. You are allowing thoughts to pass through you without resisting the natural flow of thoughts that come up in you. The desires that flow into your mind, you do not resist them. So you are having thoughts, but they are just naturally flowing through you. Versus, as I said before, we also have particle. When there is a thought that you resist in your experience, when there's a thought that doesn't naturally pass through you, what happens is you create this sort of line down the body where you block the flow of energy through you. Essentially, you pause your reality, you pause the flow of things, which is why a lot of people say they feel stuck in life. What thoughts do normally is that they separate light. They create a sort of cut in the natural flow of energy, or a break, you could say. Once you release a thought, what happens is that thought then returns to a wave again. This is also what we call collapsing reality. We form a particle in our mind, we have a thought, and then we allow it to collapse back into a wave, and it continues on passing through as energy once again. What you may notice is that it looks like a line is being crossed here. Essentially, this is like Jesus in the Bible. Your old reality or the old version of you is being collapsed in that moment. So now a new version of you, new energy can flow in. This is also why in the Bible, where they say Jesus returns 3 days later, they're actually referring to the fact that Jesus returns not in the past, the present, but in the future. Essentially, the past is becoming the future. What you left behind, that version of you that you decided on, that thought that you decided on, flows through you and then returns to you later on. The reason for this is because life is like a cycle. Everything moves in a circular motion. A way I used to describe it in my older videos was that you leave a checkpoint behind you. Think of you running on a running track and you have a checkpoint behind you, and now you're going to go around the track and you're going to meet that checkpoint again in the future, and that will now be your future reality, but expanded. On top of this, you can meet it faster in so-called time, the sooner you let go of it and the faster you can move forwards. And forwards motion, forwards action is really just allowing energy once again to pass through you. This means being able to move on to the next thought, to be able to let go of the current thought that you're stuck on. If you have a problem you're stuck on, you let it go. You don't hang on to the problem, because you can never find the solution if you keep staring at the problem. You have to let it go so that the solution can come back around to you. You have to let go your experience that you want to experience so that you can experience it. If you keep observing it, you keep it in this particle form and you stop energy from passing through you. Now, I said earlier, if you want to experience your desired reality faster, then what you have to do is you have to create a larger magnetic field. The more that you allow light to pass through the body, the more you allow it to move through you easily without disruption, you start to create this larger magnetic field. Once again, all you can think of it as is a portal that's getting bigger and you're allowing more and more light to move through you at one time. At the same time, as you're doing this, you are in the present moment. You're paying attention to your current experience, because to allow anything to pass through you, you have to be in the present moment. You have to be paying attention to what you're doing right now. To be in the present moment is to allow. Staying present or grounded starts to create this larger magnetic field around you, because you create a pinpoint in time or a focal point for everything to move around. If you're constantly in your mind thinking thoughts and you're not grounded at the same time, what happens is this field gets smaller and it gets chaotic, because now it's harder to tell where this specific point is where you are. So reality is not circling around you evenly. You can look up the uncertainty principle if you want to know what I'm talking about here. It's harder to pinpoint a particle when you are moving around all the time. So essentially, think of yourself in the present moment. You're right here, you're paying attention to what you're doing, you're in the moment. And then as you're in this moment, this field is growing bigger and bigger and bigger around you. And then what's happening now is this field you're creating is now pulling things in towards you. It's pulling your reality into the middle towards you. Light is being bent or pulled towards the present moment. You can also think of it as someone giving you a hug. It's like the arms, your past and future are the arms of the body, and they're getting wrapped around you. The past and the future are becoming one around you. So now this circle we saw earlier with the checkpoint becomes smaller. You no longer have to travel so far around the circle to reach your checkpoint, because you pulled reality in towards you. So now the checkpoint becomes much smaller. The circle you have to travel becomes much smaller, meaning you experience your experience you want to have much, much faster, as in it could almost be in the present moment that you experience it, because you're pulling it in towards you, rather than what most people do is that they chase it around this big circle, not being in the present moment. They chase their experience, never meeting up with it because it keeps moving away from them. Versus if you stay in the present moment and you just pull things in towards you, they come to you. You don't have to go anywhere to get it. It comes to you. Just to explain thoughts a little bit more to you, think of this energy passing through you, this light, as these waves, and then every thought you have is a thought of creation. Like this is solid right here, this is light, and you're creating these boxes in your mind every single time that you have a thought. So you have these lines with empty space in between each of them. It pretty much looks like a film reel from a movie. Now, as I just said, there's empty spaces here. So what happens is your higher self then comes in and it fills in these gaps between your thoughts to make for a full experience. As in, multiple thoughts are connected by experiences that are interjected into the light by the higher mind. So the light that's right here, more thoughts are interjected into here. More experiences for you to have are interjected to connect the thoughts so that they make sense. This could also be called co-creation. You're creating with your higher self. So you create the thought that you want to experience, and then the higher self interjects all of these connecting things to make it make sense. This is also called the Bridge of Incidence by Neville Goddard. So all these little dots here are just more thoughts. They're more experiences that are coming in to fill the gap. And you also can think of this as how solid objects are formed. All these particles building up right here creates solid experience. It creates a box that's filled with a bunch of particles. This is also what expansion is. Your higher mind takes your thought and adds on to it to connect it with the next. It can also look like this, like a flip book of pictures, just a bunch of lines that you're experiencing very, very quickly. Reality is just like a series of photos. Ultimately, this is what it ends up looking like. This is basically a black hole that expands and contracts just like the Big Bang that happens over and over and over. You have both particle and you have wave, so you constantly have the past becoming the future and the future becoming the past. You have both light over here with expansion, and then you have particle down over here. As they say, matter and energy are interchangeable. We always hear people say, I'm pushing myself, as in pushing yourself. We have pulled backwards, getting pulled backwards into the black hole. Going down the rabbit hole, we have hitting rock bottom. We also have people saying the light at the end of the tunnel. All you're really doing your entire life is rearranging creation into the order that you like it to be in. You're taking what already exists and expanding it outwards so you can see more of it. That's it. That's reality.